Elam 251. The difference between the 251 and the 251E is the difference in the vacuum tube. The 6072 in the 251E over the AC 701 in the 251, as some folks would call it, non-E or AC 701 variation. The AC 701 tube is soldered in, and very good, very quiet tube, and they were all made by Telefunken, therefore they're very consistent. 6072s and ECC 81s were made by everybody under the sun, so if you get a good one, your mic will sound great and as good as an AC 701 equipped microphone. But if you get a crappy 6072, it will show some signs of being not quite up to snuff to a Telefunken AC 701.
The more I think, the more that I can clearly see that what we have is more than what eyes alone can perceive. Vaya papa, scarambaya, tarapapa, scaravam, vaya papa, scarambum, bye pa.
251E, again with the 6072 vacuum tube, the 6072. Also the military designation for that is the ECC 81. Also featuring the CK12 capsule and the Alpha 14:1 transformer. The biggest difference between the C12 and the 251E are the amount of pattern selections that you get, as well as where the pattern selector is located. There's also a difference in the sound because of the size of the head grill and the differences in the mesh. 251E has 3 layers of mesh, and the C12 only has 1, which is why you see a pop filter in front of it.
What you don't get is that I've got time. Is yours, what's mine is yours, is what's yours mine. If you let me show you, I can make it.
The E variation of the 250 and 251 share the same tube as the C12, the 6072, and all 3 microphones share the same transformer, the Alpha 14:1 transformer, and the circuits of all 3 microphones are very similar, and you will hear that they have a very similar quality across the board. Also very much different than the U47.
Speakers here, I got microphones, I got my long hair and no one's home, but I know, yes I know, yes I know. I see 4 rubble ducks in the front and oh there's 1 big one and 3 small ones, but I know, yes I know, yes I know.
U47 has a sort of a richening effect, a fattening effect, a thickening effect on a lot of different sounds. Has a very nice sweet top end, but there's also a portion of the mid-range that's very, very sweet and aggressive. As I move to the C12, you'll notice that there's less low end, and the mid-range is more pronounced with my voice because that's the way my voice sounds. The mic is more natural, more neutral across the board, but still with a nice rise on the top end. And as we switch over to the 251E, you'll notice that they are similar in tone, but there's a smoothness to the top end of the 251E that is due to the difference in the mesh and the difference in the head grill. The vacuum tube is also inverted inside the 251 to cut the distance from the capsule to the tube leads, which actually reduces the self noise. So we'll move to the 251, And you'll see that it has a very similar quality to the 251E because this particular E has a very good vacuum tube in it, and so you don't see a lot of difference between the two tubes. The 251 and 251E are known not just for their overall sound quality and how they adapt to almost any source material, but also how they sit in the mix. They provide a very large and dimensional image without pushing other things out of the way. They share space very well in the mix, and they layer beautifully. If you use multiple 251s on a project, or use the same one over and over, you don't get anything negative from the layering effect that like you do with a lot of different microphones. So I think what I'd like to do is turn this over to somebody who can sing, so we can start to really listen to what these microphones sound like.
Bum bum bam bayatai bayata papa baranda yapa yapa skaram bayata tata baram bum bay bayatai skaram bayapa yapa barapa skarapa 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 baram bayapa rapa baramba Mumbai, bayapa, bye bye, bayapa, skara Mumbai, parapa, skarapa, varambaya, bayapa, Mumbai, skarambayapa, vayamba, vamskayata, skara Mumbai, bayapa, skavarambaya, vaya, vaya, pumpa, varambi, vaya.